Hey, Chargers fans, welcome back to the Guilty as Charged podcast. Very happy to be joined now by a fellow Stephen Wiseman, who covers the ACC for the Herald Sun and specifically the University of Duke. So, Stephen, thanks for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's always good, David. I can talk about Chris Rumph. He's one of my favorite people to come through Duke.
Well, there we go. I can't wait to talk about him. Obviously, the Chargers did make that pick in the fourth round of the draft a couple weekends ago by the time this will come out. So what kind of thought process, or where did you think that you could hear Chris Rumph's name be called? And what was your kind of general reaction when it was the Chargers in the fourth round who made that pick official?
Yeah, I thought, he could have gone as high as maybe the third round. I didn't think second round he would get there. I thought maybe he could get late Friday night in the third round. And then I knew on Saturday when we got to the fourth round that he would go pretty quickly, probably be the first Duke guy off the board. And I think LA is a good place for him to go. He'll love the he's a very gregarious guy. You talk to him, so I think he'll like the whole Southern California Hollywood mentality. And it's a good place for him to be. Being at Duke, Duke football. While Duke basketball is known around the country, Duke football can kind of get lost here within the own state, within the area, with North Carolina and NC State normally being somewhat better programs in football. So he's used to kind of being a little under the radar, I guess, because the Chargers and the Rams, we know which one team gets a lot more attention than the other, as my understanding out there, right? So he's good at thriving in that situation and helping fix it, maybe.
Well, that's great. I would like to go back in time a little bit and talk about his recruitment process, because I know his dad was a coach, which we'll touch on a little bit later. I know he coached at Clemson. So what was the recruiting process like for Chris Rumph, and did his dad kind of impact where he went and all, and just in general, like what was that process like for him?
I think it was more his mom that influenced it, because he, with his dad being so well known among major football people, all the places he's coached in college and played at South Carolina, coached at Clemson, Chris could have had opportunities to play in the SEC or at more of a well-known football program than Duke.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom really liked the educational aspect of it, that he could come to Duke and play ACC football for a coach in David Cutcliffe, who is known for producing NFL players, mostly quarterbacks, but NFL players overall, and knows how to run a program. And he'll also get a first-class education that maybe wouldn't have been available at some other schools he was talking to. And so that is, from my understanding, what kind of led him to Duke. Was once Mama weighed in, he was going to Duke.
Well, that's good. I guess we know who wears the pants in that relationship then. So let's talk about his dad, because I think, there's this old adage, right, of like, he's a coach's son, but how did that impact Chris specifically? Because, we've seen it have various results across, the different stages of football. So how did that impact Chris specifically while he was at Duke?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll talk from my point of view as a media member. And I talk about how great he was in the interview room. And then when we had to do Zooms the last year here, he was very comfortable talking about football, well-versed in all aspects of the game. And the comfort level to me is what stood out, because a lot of times, we'll get kids that are 18 or 19 years old, and they're very reticent to talk with the media. They'll say cliched things, whatever, just try to basically get it over with. Chris seemed to relish it from day one. He liked talking to us. He'd say, "Does anybody else have anything else to talk to me about?" The interview wouldn't end just when we were done asking questions. So I think his dad played a role in that, because he was so comfortable. He knew that was part of the game, part of what he had to do. And so from that point of view, that's where that impacted him. On the field, obviously, he was so well versed in the game that it made it easier for him to be coached. He's used to being around his dad, used to being watching film and all that. Sometimes kids get to college, they have to learn how to do that. Chris already knew how to do that. So, and now I would think when he goes to the NFL, it'll be the same thing. His dad's in the NFL now with the Bears, and was with the Texans. So he knows the NFL mindset, the NFL grind. And I don't think he'll have much of an adjustment to getting ready to play.
Well, that's always good to hear. I think a lot of the question marks kind of concerning, Chris Rumph is, Duke kind of used him as like a hybrid defensive player, little undersized. So, where do you land? Is he an edge rusher? Is he an off the ball linebacker, or is he kind of a mix of both?
Yeah, I mean, he is a mix of both. And I always wondered during his time at Duke if they'd ever just move him to linebacker full time,
Mm,
but he's such a good off the edge rusher. He's really, that's his strength. And um, you worry about him at his size, getting pushed around by big linemen, but he's got so much good athleticism, his speed, and that he can maneuver his way in there. He's got some pretty slick moves, and so I think at your level at the NFL, that's where he's going to thrive is being go after the quarterback, go do it, go get him that way, just turn him loose. Because I think what happened was also any idea about switching to the linebacker was, he wasn't really great in pass coverage, and
mm.
so you don't want to get exposed that way. Get out, out in space and not know
Yeah.
anybody can cover. So maybe that's something that the NFL he can continue to learn and get better at that. But here it was just go after the quarterback and get it done.
Well, I think that definitely seems, like it fits what the Chargers will be doing with him. They've kind of talked about that as kind of and being that edge rusher. And, the Chargers have a great coaching staff at the defensive line position. Obviously, their head coach has a fantastic reputation for developing edge rushers. And Jay Rogers, Chris Rumph Sr.'s former colleague, is there in Los Angeles too. So he'll be able to coach him up. You kind of talked about who he was as an interviewee at the podium kind of person, but what kind of person are the Chargers getting off the field besides just of like the football stuff? Who is Chris Rumph off the field?
Yeah, he's he's willing to do what's needed as far as community stuff. Again, I think that's his mom too. Let's not again, she had a big influence on it too. But he he likes to be around kids and do whatever's needed. I've seen him, signing autographs and things like that with Duke fans at Duke fan events. Always with a big smile on his face. Seems to be enjoying the experience. Again, that's something that I think is big with him. He's always enjoying what he's doing, and so that's so welcoming.
Yeah.
Somebody that really buys into what they're doing. So I really think he'll be tremendous in the locker room. I just don't, I don't see a downside with him when it comes to all that stuff. He's a very bright kid. And of course, he finished up his degree at Duke just like Mama wanted him to. So
There we go.
That's always going to serve him well in the future.
Absolutely. That Duke degree is definitely going to, open some windows for him or open some doors rather after football is over. So we'll get you out of here on this. Obviously, football in the NFL is a results driven business. What kind of player are the Chargers getting, and why should Chargers fans be excited about the selection of Chris Rumph II?
I think you should be excited because of the value the team got in a mid to later round pick. I mean, he's somebody that, again, if you look at the talent, could have been a higher pick, could have been third round that way. So that's a good thing always, right? Whenever you get value for a pick like that. And he's somebody who I think will be able to come in and early in his career make an impact. You'll see him get a key sack or maybe, come in. I'm not saying he's going to start from day one. Okay. That's not at all.
Right.
But they'll find a role for him. They'll find things for him to do and to make an impact quick. And so it's not like you're, throwing a pick out there and hoping it turns out. I mean, you're going to get something out of him, and that's what you want in the draft.
And the Chargers need that, frankly. They've got Joey Bosa as an edge rusher, but outside of him, they definitely need some help. So, Steve, this has been great. As a fellow Steven, I've loved listening to your insight. Chargers fans, if you want to give Steven Wiseman a follow, you can find him at Twitter at Steve Wiseman NC, covering Duke and the ACC sports. Steven, thank you so much for joining me.
Steven, great to be with you.